I'm Dr. Hadi Eltonsi, a former ambassador and a freelance medical doctor. I have the pleasure to present to you the immediate healing for personality development. I'm Egyptian, and due my international work in conferences, congresses, and the published patented immediate healing of personality development, I got recognized globally. Actually, the first step was the intellectual property, which I got it in Egypt in 2016. The agenda of today, it will be the concept of spiritual healing, the problem, purpose of the treatment, method and the practice, the results, the worldwide recognition, and contact details. This is a proverb that was even since the time of the pharaohs. 5,000 years ago it was written to show how the importance of speech is. So it says that you may be strong, be a craftsman in speech. For the strength of one is the tongue, and the speech of one is mightier than all fighting. After I discovered and practiced it, I found an article in Arabic whose translation is spiritual effects. It says that according to yoga concept, spiritual effect is considered the highest suggestion method and was used for psychological and physical healing by few on earth, including Jesus and his disciples. Basically, the healers invite cosmic or universal energy to pass through him, imagining that he transfers this energy to immerse the patient with spiritual current that affects his spiritual mind, and through it the unconscious that puts the whole body in harmony. Actually, before I found this, my professional page in Facebook was called A New Start for Your Body, Mind and Soul. I studied medicine and I make it in 3 hours. I don't know how prophets made it, but it's the same idea. The other part of the concept is a YouTube video, 14 minutes by Greg Baden. It's called Cancer Cured in 3 Minutes. The high point of this presentation of Greg Braden was to show on a screen 2 ultrasound images. One is constant of a case in China that had a urinary bladder tumor, and the other was moving during the treatment. So the treatment in this non-medicinal hospital was by 3 healers, not medical healers, just healers, who had closed eyes, and when a mantra is called, they feel that they are directing a lot of energy that finish with the tumor, and you see the tumor getting reduced till it is vanished in 2 minutes 49 seconds. He says that Greg Brand says that he quotes a certain magazine, scientific magazine in the States, a certain issue that tells that in 1986 the American Air Force proved by sound experiments what was known before, that our passion can change the DNA not only in one place but over a distance. And so there is a field that connects us, and we can use it for healing. This is part of his presentation. It says 100 years ago, already the people knew this, but they couldn't prove it till 1986. Statement of the problem. So the clients who are receiving psychotherapy require several sessions, even if with drugs and use of willpower over time. And the purpose is to achieve immediate, non-medicinal, effortless, painless healing without complication. It's good for personality development, meaning arriving to the highest possible degree of maturity, inner peace, efficiency, happiness, confidence, whatever the person is entitled to, so that he has abundant flexible energy directed to any circumstances he would like to put his energy on to solve problems and feel fine with it, or to enjoy his life, whatever. He has no tensions, no conflicts, and all his energy is directed outside for better, out for much uh, deeper and comprehensive awareness and finer senses, better decision making in a firm and quick way, and also efficiency in application. The other part, it is about the other use, it's about relief of neurotic disease, such as an anxiety, depression, phobia, obsessive compulsive neurosis. The third part, it's about psychosomatic symptoms and disease, which are most of our symptoms and disease. I remove the psychological part, and if there is no injury, the person is relieved, and if there is injury, it's easier to relieve what's left without cause with the drugs he's taking. And also it's good for emotional obesity, smoking, and insomnia. Again, of course, for leader preparation. So I found myself inspired and ended up writing a paper on immediate healing for personality development. The paper has been praised globally since it was published and patented. So the immediate healing for personality development is aimed at providing people's lives a new start for body, mind, and soul through non-medicinal means. It's primarily aimed at those suffering from anxiety, depression, and other pain caused due to psychological reasons, but can also used to tackle smoking, obesity, and more. The message: after joint analysis with the client and definition of psychological and physical goals of treatment, the healer, as a trained behavioral, cognitive, and logo psychotherapist, arrive with the client to a new corrected understanding of the case and roots of the conflicts in childhood, taking around 2 hours. Then, in less than an hour, performs non-verbal interpersonal hypnosis with transfer of energy and telepathy to client till deep sleep, when I implant the required personality, ideas, emotions, motives, and attitudes into the subconscious or the unconscious, embodying the required state. The unconscious and conscious mind will have same agreed upon analysis and targets for immediate results in that session of 3 hours. The healer got patent in Egypt 2016 for his discovery of the immediate healing for personality development, and for mentioned purposes, up till now, treating more than 700 cases aging between 12 and 80 years, with relief of more than 80% of the cases, either totally or mostly. I should say that I'm not treating psychotics, addicts, or children. The methods can be practiced in a range of settings to tackle a number of issues within the framework of complementary medicine. Really, it's a mixture of physical medicine, psychiatry, psychotherapy, non-verbal interpersonal hypnosis, imagination, embodiment of the case, and transfer of energy and telepathy. For example, the methods can even be practiced in health and wellness spas and retreats, also in research centers, leader preparation clinics, for also alternative medicine, because it is non-medicinal really, it has no complication whatsoever. In a number of conferences in Europe, including 2 in Vienna and Paris, Dr. Eltonsi patent has been described as phenomenal, with former ambassador being asked to help researchers learn about the methods firsthand. This is a lecture in Egypt Public Library. in just 5 months, I made 7 seminars. This is one of them, but other was also in the diplomatic club and in other forms. I made in that 5 months 7 TV interviews, 2 for radio. And this is in a conference in Paris. I was showing the second film I made. I really acted it. It was a fiction film, but the director says it's inspired by my skills, where I found the reason why the Malaysian airplane was dropped. And I act in this case as a psychiatrist who get messages while he's sleeping, and he wants to interpret it with another colleague, and then meets a soul, and then some facts about the plane, and it's open-ended. Shows that I knew how it was made, but I don't say how. But I just contacted the result to the authorities and relatives of the victims. It's an 8 minutes film that got the best international film in Venice, again Gala Venice International Film Festival, and I went myself to receive the prize, and it was also reported in our newspapers in Egypt. The first film, it was about the experience the producer, the American producer, also made herself. I made for her a treatment. She lost weight, and her work increased so much. So she made a 14 minutes film called Psychiatrist that was part of a bigger one called Psychics Among Us. It was shown also in international film and video festivals in Ohio and Athens, Thanksgiving, and other, but it didn't win. This was the first one. It was speaking about my method, and it had some questions and answers. And as you see, photos of my life, including that I took the highest decoration as an ambassador in Guatemala called El Quetzal, and that I'm also a writer, whether in Namibian newspaper or in Egypt in several magazines. This film was the second one, was the first one. The other one was the second. It went through 51. It was accepted in 51 festivals. And then the same producer made a film about herself, how she grew from in Taiwan as a child till she ended. Her films entered 1,000 festival, and say that the high point of change in her personality happened when I made for her the treatment. And this is in the diplomatic club in Egypt. So this article was published in New Era, a newspaper, Namibian English newspaper, which had every 2 weeks a column called Egyptian Wisdom and Morality and Morals, which puts, as you see, my photo inside the pyramid, and published translations of my inspirational articles. It gave me a lot of fame in Namibia that I love so much. Actually, I was twice a host in farewell parties by the president himself at the time. And this is the letters, the thank you letters that the newspaper gave me after I wrote several articles. It said that the articles were insightful and enlightening, and motivated the Namibian literature movement. So, and this is English language Egyptian newspaper called Egyptian Streets. It made an article about me. Meet the Egyptian ambassador whose psychiatric work has been recognized globally. This was after I attended several international conferences in Paris, Vienna, Athens, Denmark, and later also it was in Emirates. Uh, Together they are 7, and I'm recording really this video because I have other 4 to attend, and I want to spread this healing as much as I can, even to the conferences that kindly invited me, but for there are too many, and I think that it's useful. This immediate healing for personality development puts the responsibility on me to spread it for the sake of science and mankind. That's why I make this video, so that every conference that I cannot attend can show it and people can learn from it. The recognition. The success and fascination of Dr. Eltonsi's approach is obvious on the world stage. In 2018, I was selected as a keynote speaker for 28th Euro Congress on Psychiatrists and Psychologists in Vienna, the Mental Health Congress 2018 in Paris, and the EuroCon Conference on Neurology 2018 in Paris also. After that, it was in Athens about stroke, and another in Denmark about Alzheimer and neurological disease, and then in Emirates on similar other issues of neurology and neuroscience. So as you see, this is from the EuroC conference on neurology and neurological disorders in Paris, and it describes the presentation as phenomenal and worthy. This is from Vienna. You can see the same thing, and this again in Paris on mental health. Always they have the same evaluation. This is in Vienna actually. Oh, and this is the award I got in Venice for the film called The Messenger that was on the Malaysian aeroplane. It's an 8 minute film that I acted. So receiving the award. Beauty conquest in Egypt. It's a homage. It's because I can prepare beauty queens to be in their best psychological states before they present themselves to the competition. This was in Egypt, 2018. This was for the Arab beauty queens, and this is a lecture in our embassy, in Egyptian embassy in Vienna, about same issue of immediate healing for personality development. Conclusion: immediate, non-medicinal, revolutionary, life-transforming healing for a wide spectrum of cases, achieving higher grades of maturity, insight, harmony, and efficiency, saving client time, effort, interest, and complications. Also used to maturate community leaders to be troubleshooters, model efficient leaders with team spirit. They can be also good example for their employees. So it's a way to reform the institution. A biography. I'm a medical graduate trained in Egypt in group psychotherapy, hypnosis, of course also conversational hypnosis, self-mind control, NLP from the States, Reiki master, pranic healing, life coach from the States again, mantra yoga meditation, among other courses for psychic powers, family constellation, quantum touch. Through this medical study and practice, then as a diplomat and ambassador, I performed many TVs, of course more than 15, but about the healing, it's around 10 or 11. interviews. Radio interviews, they are 3 altogether. Seminars, they are 7. 2 short American films about the work or inspired by his skills, which were shown in International Film Festival. The second, which is called The Messenger, got an award in Venice 2017. In Gala Venice Film Festival was the award for Best International. Name and title, retired ambassador Dr. Muhammad Hadi Eltonsi. This is my full name, but you see me in the net mostly as Hadi Eltonsi. Contact details, including my number in Egypt, my number in Austria, that I spent around half a year there, my email, and then the professional Facebook page. Well, this is from one of our main Egyptian channels, governmental channels. The program was called Egypt is Beautiful, and it was an interview about my healing. And this is my first book in Arabic called Between Diplomacy and the Psyche. The second in Arabic, it's called Trips Between the Psyche and the Place. Oh, I enjoy my life, very much so. New developments. This is the certificate, publication certificate I got from EC Psychology and Psychiatry, British Journal, about the eminent research article on immediate healing for personality development that was published 1st of February on volume 7, issue 11. And this I got certificate of recognition from a international conference in Dubai on psychiatry and mental health. It says that it's in recognition of outstanding excellence to the scientific community. It was the conference, for short, was called Psychiatry Meet 2018. And this again in Dubai in November 12th and 13th. It was international conference on psychiatry and mental health. And again, it says that the presentation, the keynote presentation was phenomenal and worthy. And this was in Athens in October. It was on neurological disorders, stroke, and CNS. Same thing. This certificate of recognition from Dubai, also one of those 2 conferences. That's all. Thank you.